G'day everyone, this is Jackson Milan, the Wealth Mentor.
Sam Panetta.
And Anthony Lange.
And we are very excited for another episode of Enjoy the Journey podcast. It's a great honour to actually have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
So by way of introduction, Anthony is my Jiu-Jitsu instructor, one of the founders of Jiu-Jitsu in Australia.
Yep.
Has been world champion in Jiu-Jitsu, has competed in MMA around the world,
Yep.
and has basically, he's also the coach for Jared that we had on the podcast
A few episodes
ago. So
Right.
it's great to chase back the lineage, mate. So it's good to dive into the journey.
Jared walked in, and many years before that, his father was the lead guitarist in my punk rock band.
You're kidding?
Yeah. So I went, hang on a minute, this guy looks familiar, and his dad was even bigger than him. So yeah. So that was a funny.
That's outrageous,
Yeah,
isn't it?
that
It's a
is.
small world, isn't it?
That is a funny
Good stuff.
coincidence. Yeah.
Well, mate, it'd be really good just to get an understanding. So, who are you, mate? Where did you start your journey? Let's start at the beginning.
Is that the business journey
Let's
or
talk about
the
martial arts. When did you get
martial arts,
started in
yep.
martial arts?
I think, well, my brother was a tent boxer, actually. You know, he was they put him on the Easter show, and his mates would go, get in there and, box. So he'd dance around and move and get some shots in, and the guy he won the money.
Okay.
And so they said, do you want a job? And he said, yeah. So he travelled around. He thought, well, I get paid to travel. Yeah, he got sick of it pretty quickly. Yeah. Yeah. And so, I grew up with him sort of jobbing me. And so then I did judo, I think at 12. I don't know if you know Mick, both of you. His dad taught us at 12 years old at Seaforth Primary. So and another coincidence. So I've been wrestling that guy for years. Then I did karate. Then I was in punk rock bands and other work, and martial arts sort of got me out of that scene and to fitness and health instead of So as far as business goes, punk rock band, low income. High chance of dying young. So,
Yeah.
You don't read about that.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
That's it. So that was a bad choice. And so martial arts helped me transition through that. So I always saw it as a means to progress the individual to a healthier path. So that's really how I saw martial arts. Plus, I really wanted to find the most effective martial arts because I've been around a lot of violence and stuff like that through that scene. So that led me to BJJ. And then I was the first guy in Sydney to start a class or start teaching BJJ in Sydney. And that was in 94. Well, first off, it was in a backyard, so probably 93, and I was training for kickboxing fights earlier than that. And so guys would come along and we'd just fight in the backyard. And that's how it built up from 16 mats to the gym I've got now, full-time gym I've got now.
So good.
Yeah.
And it's a common theme that you touched on, that you used what is essentially a physical martial art to get you on the right track.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's such a common theme because there's so many people out there that have used all sorts of different martial arts, even though it's a physical, violent sort of pastime, to better themselves and to take more control and have better character. Do you know what I mean? You always hear about the character building aspect of a martial art.
That was what made the difference to me for sure, and that's what I do try and promote in my gyms. Yeah.
And why do you think there's such a strong connection there?
Because if you want to improve, you have to dedicate yourself to training. So you have to cut other things out that are detrimental.
Because you just can't sustain it.
You can't sustain it. It's impossible. That's right. So, drugs and lack of sleep and bad lifestyle and food, and that has to go. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting to see like these personalities, these big like alpha dudes that are a bit tough. They've had a pretty tough life. They come into the gym with their white belt, and then after a couple of weeks, it's kind of make or break. Like they have to make a decision. They either leave the ego at the door and devote their life to it, or they say, "No, this isn't for me," and they go back to what they were doing.
That's right.
And I'm sure you've seen a lot of that.
Well, the thing at the start was no one thought BJJ was any good, so they'd all done karate. So they'd come and challenge you. So I'd have lots of challenge matches, and two things had happened. They'd lose every time. That would happen every time. That's why I knew it was good. I was a little guy beating up guys that had come in. They were serious, and they were bouncers and 10th degree black belts in combat, jiu-jitsu. He gave me a rundown of everything. I was already scared from the rundown that he told me, and then we just. He tried to eye gouge me and that thing, but those things that happen, we'd win. So that made the difference. And most of the time, they'd either have two options. They go, "Here's my belt, I'm chucking it out," or "That never happened. I'm going to pretend that never happened and walk away." So again, when people come in and they're used to being powerful in the football field, or sometimes in business as well, it's very difficult for them to take a role where they're having a long learning process again. So many of them just do chuck it out the window and go, "That doesn't exist," or "That's not where I want to go," and that's fine for sure. And then the other people go, "Right, I'm going to take this process. It's a step-by-step process." And with anything, building a business or building martial arts skills is a step-by-step process. It's persistence and perseverance.
There's so much crossover. We've talked about it so many times that dedicating yourself and betting yourself, whether you're learning to be a fighter or you're learning to be a business person, you have to do that. There's sink or swim. Do you know what I mean? You have to push forward or you don't push at all.
Yeah. That's it.
And for a lot of the time, the effort you put in doesn't always correlate to the output as well.
That's
especially
exactly
in martial arts.
That's right.
I've had times it's so frustrating where you're training your heart out and you're just not seeing yourself getting any better.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it just clicks and then you go to that next level.
That's right.
And it's having that heart to be able to persevere through that. I think that's the biggest defining moment in people sustaining and maintaining being a martial artist.
Yeah.
So how do you stuck with it for all these years? Like you live and breathe it like every day.
That's right, I do. So it is lifestyle jiu-jitsu or lifestyle martial arts that I do, because I put it this way: you put your family, work, and then your hobby. And my hobby went to my work. So that's how that went, and I do it every day as a process of building myself, bettering myself, or just maintaining personal integrity. And also now it's a great joy to be able to share that. Yeah.
So let's talk about the business side of things. When did it sort of click to you and you said, "You know what, I love this, I'm going to make a business out of this"? What was the train of thought that triggered that?
Yeah. So I was a horticulturalist. So I ran my own businesses there. I used to build them up and then sell them, go and train in Japan or go to India and do yoga. And then start up another business. Building lawns was easy back in the day. Then I hurt my back doing that, and someone fixed it doing shiatsu, so I started doing that. So my two businesses were horticulture and shiatsu. And then the martial art business built up around that, from 2 days a week to what ended up full time. And I quickly got rid of the horticulture, and then I didn't have time to treat people. I did shiatsu for 18 years and couldn't do that. So and of course kids. You have kids, you go, I got to give them something, and so that's it. And so that is a huge driving force I've got to make money now. I've got to make money and sustain it and keep it, instead of just building it up and going, "Oh, try this property investment. I lost $40,000. All those things, you've got to build it up and keep it to pass it on. Well, that's what I feel.
Yeah, of course.
Got to pass it on.
Sam's starting to learn that now.
I walked in today and Jackson's looking at me and goes, "You don't look well, mate." I said, "Mate, My daughter's 10 days old. She's keeping me up. She's doing her best. And
There is no sleep for 4 months.
Zero sleep.
4
Zero
months.
sleep. I'm
Yeah.
caffeinated up, mate. That's the only reason I'm eating.
It's really hard to operate with no sleep. All I can tell you is in 4 months' time, it'll be fine.
Oh, good. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's a long tunnel, but I see it.
Yeah, I always tell the women, and every woman was going to hate me, it's harder on the guys.
We're going to highlight that.
That's in the highlight. You're going to make some enemies, Anthony.
I know.
Lucky you got the skills to defend yourself.
This is why I can say those things. I've only got the skills. No, and I can't out-talk a woman in any case. But the you have to do everything. You know, all of a sudden they were doing everything, and all of a sudden you have to do everything. And it's like, because they sleep and feed, and it becomes so basic, and you're doing everything else. So that's it. So it's a shock.
Yeah, and it's, look, I guess on that point, I do a little bit of Muay Thai on the weekends just to keep fit, right? I'm not very good at it. But now that I've got a little girl, I'm like, she has to do some form of martial arts. She needs to do something. I want her to be strong. I want her to be confident.
Yeah.
And what better way of doing it? You know, you've got to get there. You've got to rough and tumble a little bit with other kids.
That's it.
And I see the kids class come in on Saturday morning, and I go, that's really cool. My daughter has to be involved in that.
Yeah.
And do you guys do much work?
Yeah, we
with
do a
kids?
huge amount of kids now. We have 3 classes on Saturday morning, and sometimes 3 classes every afternoon.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and little girls love it. Oh, we've also had little girl came into me, was very talented, very good. She said, I do like jiu-jitsu, but I can't do the uniform. Had to leave. So girls are harder. So if you can get the right uniform, we're probably okay. So no, that's not with all of them, and they do differ, you know. But some of them love it. Yeah, really. And again, a girl who trained with me, who was 16, and by the time she was 17 or 18, she's got a big day out. 400 people, all facing this way. She gets attacked in the corner. The guy, because I saw her, she had bite marks here, like full on bite marks. And she said she had my arms pinned. Nobody was watching. It took me, I had to move until I could knee him, then elbow him, and then bop, and his nose just popped right across his face. And then he was just had blood everywhere and ran away screaming.
Wow.
So good.
Yeah, so good.
But it is character defining, I think, for kids particularly. Like I was a small kid as well. I think I was always like the shortest or the second shortest in all of my classes.
You're in the front row.
I was always in the front row, sitting down at the front, and school photos. But you're a target.
Yeah, you are a target.
And kids are tough, like if they see weakness, that's the kid that they go for. That's the one they pick on.
They don't pick to lose a fight.
Correct.
Nobody does at any age.
But if you fight back and you've got that character where you don't give up, and even if you don't win, they end up leaving you alone, and particularly for girls.
Yeah.
Like that's probably my biggest fear when I eventually have kids, having a girl that goes through life who doesn't have those skills. They have to have those skills. Imagine what would have happened if she didn't have those skills.
Terrible.
Yeah, that would have been a horrific scenario.
Horrific scenario.
Do you know what I mean?
And it wasn't a horrific scenario for her. It was actually a victory. So she felt fantastic. So it changed it around. And again, I've had other women come up to me and go, "Oh, I got mugged at the Concord car park." And I said, "That's terrible. What happened?" She said, "They took my bag." And I went, "Knee." And took his bag, and I went, "That's not a bad mug."
Bad for the other one.
Bad for the other one. And he ran away as well. So, it's nice to know that, it's not just for personal development. You seriously can protect yourself as well.
But that's a double-edged sword as well, Anthony, because particularly where you started, right? Like the 80s and 90s was prime around these McDojos, right?
Yes.
The kind of the mystic Chinese martial arts, everyone's using these Chinese styles, Japanese styles that did nothing.
Yes.
And like the chi power and all this stuff. And then
That's right.
Jiu-Jitsu was a game changer in Muay Thai as well. Two real most
They
effective
were.
martial arts.
That's true.
But still these days, there's all of these martial arts that are going around that give people a false sense of security.
Yeah, I think they probably do. Though some training's better than no training. And the discipline in karate, I was a black belt in karate as well, was where I started actually. So you had to modify everything. It wasn't what I would call a high level reality based martial art, but it's a martial art that's still relevant and still useful in some ways.
Yeah. Okay.
Why do you guys think jiu-jitsu is so effective as a martial art?
Just the way it's trained. So you can train, 80 to 100% every single time you go. Someone's jumping on you, trying to rip your arms off and your legs off and choke you. So and the way you move, it doesn't. So you're not impacting each other so much. So you can train harder and more. So it allows you. So when it's a real fight, as long as you understand timing and distance and a little bit of understanding about striking, you can clinch and take the fight. And I also like it as what I call the best civilized martial art. You don't have to hurt someone, and no other, karate and even Muay Thai doesn't give you that option. You're going to have to hurt those people. So it gives you the option of not hurting them or hurting them a lot. Yeah, possibly killing them, but you can rip their limbs off and choke them. It's serious. So, and you can not hurt them too. So it gives you that option. So it's a control option of jiu-jitsu and the way it's trained.
I mean, the real world is what you want, because even if someone mugs you, you probably don't want to hurt them, because you might end up in the hot water even if you're the victim and you hurt them a little bit too much. Better off to just subdue them and get them out of there.
Yeah. It all depends. I always say you've got your backstreet scenario and your supermarket scenario. Is the camera showing or not? But another.
I love it. We're going to cut that.
But another instance is like my brother-in-law, who was like 110 kilo, gets drunk and decides to attack me. So my mother-in-law would have killed me, if I beat him up. Again, I could subdue him, slowly choke him, and say, whatever, and convince him to be more, hospitable, get along.
He's so calm. I wouldn't want to fight him.
But here's the thing, I think that, because when I was younger, going through my teens, I trained Kung Fu.
Yeah.
And
what one?
I was with Double Dragon with Mick Spinks.
Oh yeah, great.
And,
I like Mick. Yeah.
But when because it's all forms and there's no real practical sparring or anything like that, or if it is, it's kind of like passive sparring. When you're in a real life situation, it doesn't work, particularly if someone's bigger than you. And most of the time, someone's bigger than us.
That's right.
And the thing that what drew me to jiu-jitsu was, well, how can I get the edge?
Yeah.
And most people can throw a punch, or anyone can throw a punch if they're a strong person.
That's right.
But most people don't know how to fight on the ground.
That's
right. And most fights end up on the ground. That's right. So take it where you can have strength.
That's exactly right. And I love Higan Machado and his brothers' analogy where they say they may well be a lion, but we're sharks and we take it to the water. Yeah, that's it. And so they're totally out of their depth. So whatever they knew and whatever was useful to them is irrelevant. And that's why. And size doesn't matter as much.
No.
Yeah.
I've had my limbs nearly torn off by girls, like small girls, on many occasions.
Yeah, that's true too. I know, you've got to watch that.
That's good. So, mate, let's kind of go back to the start of your business journey. You decided that you had to let go of the horticulture and the shiatsu because the gym was continuing to grow and scale. So, I guess back in the day, it was obviously like prior to online marketing and that kind of stuff. So, how did you grow your business?
That's exactly right. So it was school halls back then. There was no real full-time gym. So now everyone's got a full-time gym and a good outlay. But basically, people just rented school halls and you did 2 times a week, and that's pretty well what happened. So I was the first full-time gym, and you went from 2 classes a week to full-time, which when people weren't really ready for that. So it was luckily I'd done the mixed martial arts and had a few martial arts. So we were doing Thai boxing, and I'd also done Filipino martial art and the jiu-jitsu. So, and we were blending in the MMA because we were all fighting MMA. And at the start, MMA and BJJ were nearly the same thing, which of course separated by about 2001. But in '94, there was no name for it. It was just pro fighting, or no holds barred, or no rules. it wasn't formalised at all. You had the Manly Daily worked. You did 10 calls, where of course if you're in a business like shiatsu, you couldn't put an ad in the Manly Daily because it's all recommendations. But people will take the risk to come and do martial arts more so than other things. So that was pretty well it, and the rest of it was word of mouth.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And still today, referrals are around about I would say 75% of all leads.
Yeah, and that's a good business. You know what I mean? From a commercial sense, you're better off having referrals because they're much more likely to come in, have a crack, and stick at it.
Yeah.
Jared's trying to drag me down there for years, but I'm scared he's going to beat me up, so I stayed well away from him.
That's
but but it's a lot of business people are always pushing the envelope, right?
Yeah.
You were a real pioneer in this industry.
Yeah.
How did you feel at the time knowing that you were pushing yourself well out of your comfort zone into an industry that you were essentially creating around here?
Seriously, I did sort of create the industry around here, and we were sure, because you could get a black belt in Taekwondo in 3 years, and BJJ at that time was taking 10 years for sure. So we didn't think it was going to be popular. It was a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it evolved as a business, mainly probably because of my kids, and then losing a lot of money in real estate.
Yeah.
I went, right, how do you make money?
Yeah.
There's 10 options, and winning the lottery is like the lowest way of making money. But having a business and being successful in your business was in the top 10 ways of making money, and I thought, right, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm good at. I'm not going to go anywhere else, so I better concentrate on that. So I didn't start making money until 2006, and I'd already been in business since 99 in that, making it sort of a full-time gym. So before that, it was private lessons, shiatsu, that made my money to live.
Yeah.
And the membership paid the rent.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, I worked out how to run a business.
Yeah. I love that. That's the real journey of taking a passion and turning it into a commercial venture. You know what I mean?
That's right. And I had to learn how to run a business and how to sell and how to put yourself forward, because it's a risk putting yourself forward. Recommending clothes. You get them at the product placement. Product placement, exactly. So, and you got to feel good doing that. And so if you've got a good product, great, you'll feel good doing it.
Yeah.
And so that's the easiest way to do it. And how they do it when it's a bad product, I don't know how they do it, but they do, because there's science behind it, and there's a way of doing it. And so I sort of went down that track of learning how to do those things, and then putting myself out there.
I'm glad to hear that, because a lot of business owners never get to that point where they have to understand. I like what you said, to learn how to sell. Everyone has to sell. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's simple about zoom in, even if it's simple about having the right jumper on. As a business owner, you have to be able to sell whatever it is you're promoting. In your case, you're very passionate about it. You're absolutely a pioneer in the industry. So probably a bit easier to pass that passion on to other people.
Yeah, definitely.
You've also done that hardest way of building your own brand as well. Like I think a little bit easier for some of these other martial arts businesses that when they're everywhere now.
Yeah, that's right.
They're associated with a big global brand that they can be affiliated to create that reputation.
That's right.
Where you've had to build everything from scratch from back when no one even knew what it was.
That's right.
So that takes a lot of heart.
Yeah, and I did research branding and talked to John Will about those things too. Who's always on the cutting edge of business once it started, and there's in America it's a business, and so we copied a lot of the stuff from America as well. Mind you, a lot of that stuff doesn't work on Australians.
No.
Yeah. So in fact, they reject it. So I only ever did things that I felt comfortable doing.
Yeah, people don't like the hard sell here, the American way.
No, they don't like it. And Australians, we don't sell that way. We don't do business that way. And the Australian public absolutely rejects it. They hate it. They don't like to be hard sold.
Yeah.
which I prefer, because no one in Australia is getting on the phones and cold calling people or trying to snake oil salesman people. And I guess it's good. We've got a good thermometer for bullshit, I guess.
I think so too. I think it's great. I was talking to another guy who works internationally in major business, and he was saying, in Australia it's all contracts, but of course, parts of Asia it's who do you know?
Yeah.
Who's your contact? And when something goes wrong, they don't go to the contract, they go to that person.
Yeah.
Hey, how come you're not performing? And why is that? And so that's also interesting too. And with martial arts, I suppose, it's that as well too. You've got that, you know who's who, and you can present yourself, and those sort of things matter. Yeah, because it's not always contracts. It's like you have to be able to present yourself as someone who is reputable, who's going to, give what they say.
Well, what I've noticed is a big difference. Given that I've moved around a lot, I've trained a lot of different gyms, and the culture from gym to gym is very, very different. And the thing that I enjoy most about training at your gym is that from the get-go, the culture is different. It's like a big family.
Fantastic.
And those values have been passed from the beginning. It's not something that just happens overnight. So has that always been the case? Like from the very beginning, it's been about trying to create that family.
I saw it because when I started, I wasn't a black belt, so it was a club, a training club, and we were together in the process. So that has sort of stuck, and so I also think the culture is not just the head guy, but his top guys. So they enforce the culture, and if you're a dickhead, like you go, and that's the way it is. So, but of course it's the top level guys that put that, or make that happen as well. Yeah.
And they're there because they love it, because they've done it for so long. You have to love it, otherwise
you're
not going to stick.
You're not going to stick with that one. No, that's right. So it creates great camaraderie, good bonds, because you do have to. It's about trust. You're trusting people with your neck and your limbs. So you don't come because you don't trust Jared. but of course, if you were there and he hadn't wrecked you in thing, you go, actually, this is quite a good bond. This guy who could hasn't. True. And it's actually really that's nourishing in a lot of ways, especially to guys. Where you get guys that you can trust. It's a big thing.
Yeah, that's what you want.
It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was recently off with a knee injury, and I went back to one of Jared's classes, and I'm like, oh no, Jared's going to kill me. I've been off the mats, haven't gone to his classes, he's going to be offended. And I go, oh Jared, I hurt my knee, I'm just coming back. And he structured the whole class around making sure that I didn't hurt myself. So just that care, the care factor for the people that you're training with is a huge thing.
That's it. And that's not what you expect, but that's what you get.
That's what you get. Yeah, that's probably why there's been so much success in your business, do you know what I mean? Because that's everyone who's coming through is feeling that same level, of, how would you describe it? Welcoming, that's care, like there's camaraderie. Yeah, everyone can feel that, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. It is, and that's why they're going to keep coming back. They know, because one of the biggest problems is you have a break from life, because life gets in the way of training, injury. And you have to come back, and that usually is the time when everyone just goes, you know what, that's too much effort. But when hey, people are going to help you through that period, you're fine.
It makes it easy. It makes it easy
because it's not easy coming back after a break.
No, because everyone still just looks at you as a belt colour, and they don't look at you as size or age or anything like that. No, just. No, but they're not that bad. They're not that bad. I mean, we make it seem worse than it is, but it is sometimes a little bit like that.
The first session back's always tough. So there's a big difference between being an instructor and being a competitor, and you've been basically a lifelong competitor. So when did you start competing in martial arts?
In karate, I competed, and that was a time that I realised I had to win on my worst day. Because you go in a business meeting or whatever, everything's not perfect. Maybe you haven't perfectly prepared, or even if you have perfectly prepared, you've got an injury, you're feeling sick that day. Adrenaline does a lot of weird things to you too. So, it's after that, I really made sure that no matter what, feeling good, bad, not prepared, that I can compete. So that was a mental thing. And I enjoy it now. I can enjoy the preparation. I don't actually enjoy competition that much. I'm going over to the Worlds in August, the World Masters, which I have won in 2014, and going over there to try again this year. And so, I enjoy the process of preparing. It drives me to do better in the martial art, and so that's it. And of course, I fought professionally in MMA in Japan and Australia. That's a huge thing to walk into a ring knowing that there's money on the line and you want to take out that other person. So the intensity is, what is that? High level.
Oh yeah.
Exhilaration and whatever. But
What's your greatest memory? You've been doing it a long time. I'm sure there's hundreds of memories and good times that you've taken away from it. Is there something that stands out in your mind, you look back on it and you just go, that was a phenomenal experience?
When everything clicks, that's unreal too. Because even in my karate black belt grading, sometimes when I go into competition, everything's on fire and it all clicks. That's great.
Yeah.
Because you everything you've learned, everything you've done just works. So that's huge. As a teacher, seeing a walk at school, it's changed him from, you can just see from 5 years old, this kid's dedicated, and it's developed him into a really good character. That's wonderful too. There's an incredible amount of friendships that are made, and though being a teacher and being a competitor, all have the different aspects that are very memorable, that's for sure. Yeah.
It's definitely a journey. I think that I've tried to compete throughout my jiu-jitsu training, and always that milestone just sets a fire under it, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's
just
right.
Like you've got it locked in, you've paid for the competition, you know the date.
Yes,
you're
that's
like,
right.
now I'm going to get myself into shape. Otherwise, you just float.
Yeah.
It's a good metaphor for business as well, I think.
That's it.
You've always got to have something to work towards.
There's always deadlines, and that's a deadline. You're not just you're putting yourself on the line, 100%, your whole body, your whole mind, and if you don't, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
There's nothing more, that you fight or you win or you lose.
That's true, eh? There's no middle ground. It's black and white.
It's always a learning experience, though.
Yeah, that's right.
You were in my last competition, and I got smoked. My first blue belt competition, and I had that anxiety about getting back on the mats and going, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn. I know I'm probably not going to do my best, but the guy running the rings around me. And then just being able to watch back the footage and learning from that experience as well.
Exactly. So when it all clicks, it's great because you feel fantastic. And when it doesn't, you learn all the lessons that make that journey. So really, we always say you win or you learn.
Yeah.
Because the winning is just the lucky day where everything clicks. But the journey's the thing that is a lifestyle that keeps you going. So you can't let failure worry you. As I tell the kids, does a baby walk? What happens when it first walks? It falls over. And they all identify with that because they're like 5 or 6 years old, going, "Oh, your babies are stupid, they can't even walk." But if they never tried, whether it's as they say in business, you've got to be, failure will happen. Same in martial arts. If you let that worry you, that's where you can't continue. So you have to just work out how not to be concerned about that, only just keep moving. Yeah.
Well, if you're a fighter and you have a setback and you quit on the first time you have a setback, you're never going to achieve anything.
You're not going to achieve anything.
Do you know what I mean?
That is 100% true.
100%. And it's the same in business. Like, we joke about it all the time. Every time we think we're on top of something, something goes wrong. And if we threw the towel in when the first thing went wrong, I don't know what we'd be doing.
We've been in business about 1 day.
Yeah, maybe half a day.
That's right.
Let's call it quits.
Yeah. And it's amazing how many things get thrown your way, consistently. And it's not just the government.
If it's not one thing, it's another, isn't it?
That's right.
But it's like anything in life. Like anyone who's ever achieved something great in life has to push through pain. You know what I mean? Whether it's in fighting or in business or whatever there is, you have to have a tolerance for pain, and you have to just continue to push through it. And I guess that's why fighting is such a character building journey. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to go, well, either I'm not the best here or I'm not the greatest, I need to improve here, and you need to keep self-assessing and swallowing your pride and getting better at it. That's only step forward, I guess.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You've got to have that indefeatable attitude.
Yeah. I like that, indefeatable.
Yeah.
So in light of everything you've gone through, mate, all of your experience and where you are in business and with your art and you're competing, what are you working towards now? What's the next kind of milestone for you?
I had 3 businesses. I built up other gyms, and then there seemed to be a lot of work. I built them both up to 100 and then sold them off. And so now I really am just in a holding process of I've got what provides me and my family, and I'm actually quite happy with that. I'm 55, so I'm like, okay, just 10 more years, I'll push that and just hold. I also retired from Events BJJ, which is promotes tournaments. And again, I've been doing that for 25 years, running tournaments.
It's not easy.
Every year. It's a stressful thing, and but it was a good company, and we were doing well. But I just handed it to the other guys, and they wanted to continue with that. So really, for me, it's more I'm in a position where I can do what I want, and that's really. The whole idea of business is, I believe, is to do what you want. Be in a position where you can do what you want.
Have that freedom.
Yeah,
that's what we're all pursuing, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Being able to live life on your own terms.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Choosing how you spend your time and your energy. Do you know what I mean? I think if you're in control of your time and the energy, I reckon you're living a pretty good life.
Yeah, and time. John Will talks about this. The people that come to his seminar, they're giving it's their money as well and their time, but their time's actually something they're never going to get back.
Correct.
So it's hugely important for everything. And that's right. I'm earning money so I can spend my time doing what I like. Yeah. And being with the people I like and that sort of thing. So and for sure, I think it's worth every effort to be able to be in that position. Yeah,
nice. So if you had to give any advice to any sort of young aspiring fighters out there, what would you give them?
Fighters' advice is that you better not be doing it for a career, because it's a bad career move. So you better be doing it for the passion that you want to do this and you want to achieve, and you've got a driving desire to do that. And basically, I think you have short-term goals. What are your next 3 fights? Yeah. And so just look in the short term, actually, for fighting, and reassess. Be always ready to reassess. And you have to be able to self-reflect and also be coachable.
Yeah, because if you're not coachable, if you can't learn, you can't improve.
That's
exactly it.
Look at that, and I think MMA is really coming to its own over the last couple of years. Look at the likes of Ronda Rousey got announced the UFC Hall of Fame on the weekend. But looking at her mindset after being defeated compared to, say, like Conor McGregor. Those are 2 completely
and Whittaker.
You have to be able to dust yourself off after, because there's no guaranteed path to success. You're putting it on the line every single time.
That's right.
So unless you're willing to get defeated and pick yourself back up and have another crack,
Yeah.
you're not going to succeed in it, are you?
That's right. You're not always going to be on top in the fight game. You're not, and it is exceptionally hard, much harder than anything else, because you're physically it's really hard. And you don't get downtime. It's full on. Now the level of athlete now is incredibly high. To make it to the top.
Sort of science in it now, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There was you have to be super talented, placed in the right place, supported by all the right people before you could just have trained hard and have a lot of skill.
Yeah.
And somehow you'll still make it. But now there's a whole bunch of other things to make it right to the top. So yeah, that's it.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
How about in business?
But there are also other things like the music industry. When we were playing punk rock bands, you just go to the pub and say, "Hey, we can get 40 or 100 people in here. They're all going to buy beers," and they go and play over there. and then you can't do that anymore. No way. No. So that's not going to happen. So
this industry's always evolve and change. You've got to adapt to the time.
Yeah.
So people get in, get a monopoly going, and then it's especially the music business. So it's so structured. You're only going to get somewhere in that way. So sometimes you have to learn the structure and work your way through certain things, and martial arts, MMA is nearly becoming that too. So you got to get lucky and go through the right channels and meet the right people, and so you have to have the right connections too. So that always makes it way harder. Yeah.
You got to learn the game, eh?
You got to learn the game. That's right.
And mate, with your wealth of experience in business, what would be some advice you give the business owners that are listening or watching today?
Well, don't take advice from me, because go to an expert. Seriously, because I learned the hard way. Every way I did it was the wrong way for so much, until I thought, I go to martial arts and train with the best people in the world. What I'm going to ask that person how to do that particular aspect of business. So go and find the right people and ask them how to do it correctly, and spend some time getting mentored. One-on-one training was always the best for me in martial arts or business, and you cut away years of problems in a short time. There's people who've got ways of doing, whether it's branding, whether it's whatever. There's a system. Good.
That's great. Great advice. I love that.
Yeah, it's been done, hasn't it? It's a lot of things don't need to be reinvented in 2018. The knowledge is there.
That's
you just
right.
have to find out who's holding it in their head.
That's right.
Go knock on it.
Chase them down.
Exactly.
And people are so willing to give now too.
Exactly.
Where they were not willing to give when I was starting out. Now it's the information's out there and it's nearly for free. It's out there. So investigate where to find the right knowledge.
Yeah. Great advice,
mate. So if people want to find you in the gym, where are you located?
Okay, 380 Pittwater Road, North Manly, and langesmma.com.
Beautiful. We'll include all the information in the description. Mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much,
Jackson.
for coming on the show.
Fantastic.
And, look forward to having you on again to hear more about the journey. I'm sure there's some good war stories we can dive into next time.
There's many.
So thanks everyone for another episode of Enjoy the Journey podcast, and we will catch you next week.
See you next week.